Do you remember this company? Hey there, it's Dr. Laurence Tham here, your chiro coach, and I was obviously packing up and ready to go. This might be one of the last few videos I could do in this particular studio in my room. But as I was cleaning up some stuff, I found this. Do you remember that? Yes, the old good old Blockbuster card. And if you're as old as me, you remember that we used to rent videos going to our local Blockbuster and then having to go and rent the latest movie, and oftentimes the latest movie is gone, so then you have to wait until next week maybe to get the movie. You end up renting some old movies. Now of course Blockbuster is no longer, well, yeah, I think they might be Steven soon, who knows if they're still existed, but now Netflix has taken over. And so why am I shooting this video on Blockbuster? Well, because I found this card and it's kind of nostalgic. I've been here, this is probably about 20 years old, but it's so important really, can you think about when it comes to practice, because Blockbusters had a chance. Blockbuster had a chance to survive, and what that was that they had the concept of Netflix coming on the door, but Blockbuster, being a giant that it was at the time, kind of laughed at Netflix and say, this will never work. And remember, if you remember Netflix back then, Netflix is not the Netflix we see on television right now. Netflix before that was a similar to Blockbuster, but instead of a physical store, they used to mail you the movies. You used to choose 5 movies or something, and they used to mail it to you, and you would have to mail it back. And that's how Netflix got started. And because they were waiting for the technology, the internet, to kind of catch up to allow us to stream. They had some foresight to think that in the future, this is what's going to happen. So in the meantime, they had to kind of create a product that allows us to compete against Blockbuster. Blockbuster kind of laughed at that because they were generating a lot of income. It was a massive cash cow. And so they didn't want to get disrupted, and they didn't think they could be disrupted. But that's lies the story. But the problem is that most of us in practice, who, if you're successful, you might think, hey, I've been doing this for years. And this is more for the senior chiropractors who've been around for 5-10 years or even more. You think, hey, I'm in this game. No, there's nothing to disrupt me. And I think you may be wrong, and you may be right, but at the same time you could be wrong. And I think it's really important to recognize that things are constantly changing. Social media has changed the landscape. There's going to be something else that's going to change the landscape, and all this stuff has to be got to be taken care of. It doesn't mean that you actually go and adopt and do everything that you're supposed to do and catching up in those marketplaces. But I think is what's important is to recognize that you can be disrupted, and you constantly, as a successful practice and a successful business, you want to maintain your market share. And the way you maintain your market share is to recognize that what are the potential things in the future, and recognize that how can you keep up, or at least adapt to those certain circumstances as the environment changes, because the environment changes very, very quickly, as you are aware. And we have to learn to recognize them instead of just sitting and waiting and just hoping that everything's perfectly fine like Blockbuster did. And I think that could be a very, very bad mistake. And one of the things that I think is really important to ask the fundamental question I do this every single year, is how can I disrupt myself? That's right. How can I disrupt myself? Which is meaning, like, how can I disrupt the way I do business right now? Because if you start thinking about how do you disrupt your own self and your own business, you might be the one, you should be able to start thinking about ideas that could really destroy your business. If you can start thinking about those, you're more prepared to handle those situations, because it may be something that replaces the existing cash flow business or profitability to practice right now and into the future, because it takes time to build up. But if you wait until a business that comes along, or some other thing that comes along and actually disrupts it, you're already too far behind, because they probably spent 5 years building that business that destroyed your business. And if you try to catch up, you're already too late, because they're just that much further ahead. Why would you do that? Why would you be a Blockbuster in practice and business? I'm not talking about chiropractors necessarily. We're talking about, it could be another therapy, it could be another practitioner, it could be something else that we just don't see. That's the whole point of disruption, is that we don't see it coming. The taxi services have been disrupted by Uber. The hotel industry has been disrupted by Airbnb. You do not see it coming. And when you first see it coming, you kind of laugh at it. I mean, think about this from 10 years ago, to think like, I'm going to get in a stranger's car and they're going to drive me around. I don't have to take out my credit card to pay for it or cash. I just walk in, walk out with a phone. I can go to any city and walk into some stranger's house and sleep in their house and walk out, and nothing happens, as if there's no money transferred, and they just trust me and I trust them. That was laughed out the door. And so those are disruption business. And I think it's really important in chiropractic, and in terms of developing a successful profession moving on, we need to start thinking about, how do we disrupt ourselves? How do we not be a Blockbuster in alternative medicine, or in terms of healthcare? how do we kind of create a practice and also a profession that allows us to continue doing what we're doing and continually grow and serve the clients the best we can by adjusting people, increasing their nervous system, helping them improve our performance and productivity, and living a life that's productive and also enhancing their life. How do we do that? Well, we got to talk and we got to continue exploring ourselves. It's going to take the people who are coming on board of chiropractic and the people in chiropractic to kind of think more about the future. You have to ask the question every single year, if at a minimum, is how do I disrupt myself? If you don't, you're going to be left behind and you will become the Blockbuster of chiropractic or healthcare in general. So let's not do that. I'm Laurence Tham, I'm your chiro coach, and I hope that you enjoy these videos. If you do, comment below. Let me know what you think about what the next disruption could be and how can you disrupt yourself. I'll talk to you soon.